Welcome to a new chapter of the section dedicated to renewables and fuel cells. In the previous unit, we have talked about biomass and its conversion to biofuels. Biofuels as renewable fuel have a number of advantages. For example, the first is their source, is renewable, and also the feedstock are distributed all over the world. So for fossil, we have resources that are mainly located in some special area of the globe, while biomass are spread all over the world, and this allows a democratic utilization of energy. Then this feature also allows a security of energy supply, reducing the risk of energy shortages. The employment of biomass and biofuels as energy sources is important also from an economic point of view, because this creates new opportunities, new job position, and so on. Finally, as we discussed in the previous unit, a very important feature of biomass and biofuel is the low carbon emission related to this resource that usually ends in a zero carbon balance. However, the theme of biofuels is quite debated, because if on one side we have a number of advantages, on the other hand we have many drawbacks. Let's have a glance at the main drawbacks related to biofuels. The first one is related to the low energy density of biomass and biofuels. This introduces some problems related to the logistic of these materials, from storage to transportation. Since we have a low energy density material, the storage process is more difficult to handle, because in the same volume we are going to store a reduced amount of energy compared, for example, to fossil fuels. Gaseous fuels or solid fuels have different storage problems, and this is very close also to transportation, because if we have to move feedstock to the place where they are produced, to the place where they are used, the duty for transportation is more important and heavier if we have a low energy density material. Then another problem is about the quality of the biofuel. Fossil fuels are pretty standardized. We know what is the loading value and roughly the composition. Processing an heterogeneous feedstock to get a biofuel ends in having a variation of the properties of the product. So biofuel can have a variable loading value, variable density, viscosity, and also different contaminants in their mix. This can be a problem when it comes to their utilization, because this can produce corrosion or an adaptation of the design of the device where we are going to use the biofuel. In addition to that, we have some drawbacks related to the whole life cycle of the biofuel. So if we analyze the story of a biofuel from its production to the utilization and finally to the dismantling of the final waste, we can identify some sources of environmental impact and some energy penalties that are against the utilization of biofuels. So if we want to summarize that, we have to focus the energy consumption that is associated to the production and utilization of a biofuel and auxiliary emissions. For instance, we have already talked about the problem of transportation. if our biofuel synthesis plant is very far from the place where we harvest resources, and we provide transportation by means of trucks that runs on gasoline or diesel, we will have CO2 emissions during this step, and also the production of other pollutants for the atmosphere, and this is not desired. Finally, we have the problem of land usage. If we use first generation biofuel, there is the very debated problem of the battle between food and fuel. So we cannot use land for a crop that is used for energy production and subtract this to food production, because this process is going also to create imbalances in the food market with an increase in the food price. So on one side we solve the energy problem, but on the other side we create a danger for another need of mankind, that is nutrition. Then we have the issue of deforestation. The globe is covered by forest, and this is the green lung of the earth. If we need to create new crops, sometimes forests are abated, and this is not desired. Finally, we have the problem of water depletion. Water is used intensively if we are going to cultivate energy crops, but also water can be used as a reactant in the production of the biofuels. So we need to reduce this consumption because water is a precious resource, and very high depletion is not sustainable.